James Bond to become Netflix or Apple exclusive. What? Next up on Geek Pants. So, I actually just heard this now. This is one of those things where I hear that or I see that and I go, well, I don't know. I don't know, man.
What a future we have ahead of us.
I mean, sure, Netflix or Apple could afford it.
Yes. It'd be their biggest buyout ever.
It would be their biggest buyout ever. However...
For those that don't know what we're talking about...
Oh, right, yes.
MGM is up for sale for $10 billion, and right now it looks like Netflix and Apple are the two that are most interested. And MGM, even though they sold most of their movie rights before 1987 to Warner, they still hold the rights to James Bond, which means any future James Bonds would be on streaming services if purchased.
Yeah, so that's the part that I feel like this should be a move that a company like Sony should make a move for. They should try to pick up these rights.
Sony should absolutely go for that.
$10 million is a small price to pay.
10 bill.
Sorry, 10 bill?
10 bill.
Oh, 10 billion. Still.
For just James Bond.
Still.
Right? Yeah.
If I had that kind of cash, I'd do it.
I mean...
Sony's got that kind of cash.
Yeah, and they've already helped... which one did they do? They did Skyfall, right? They helped Skyfall?
I think it was Skyfall, yeah.
Might have been Casino Royale, too.
I think of the Daniel Craig ones, they've had some sort of a partnership. They've had a partnership because he uses almost exclusively Sony phones.
Yeah.
In all of them, except for Spectre. They don't really show him actually using a noticeable cell phone.
But never an iPhone, so Apple is out.
Yeah. But I think that if it goes to a streaming service, I feel like that's one of those things where now they're going to miss out on box office. Because James Bond is still a box office draw.
Oh, God, yeah.
Okay? Like, even though Spectre didn't do $1 billion, it still did a respectable amount.
It came damn close.
It
Skyfall
was like just under 8.
Skyfall passed the bill.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's why I'm bringing that up, because Skyfall made $1 billion.
Yeah.
And I think it's the only Bond movie to do $1 billion.
Mm-hmm.
Like, with inflation and things like that. So, so Spectre was deemed a flop because it didn't make $2 billion, right? But for even Spectre, with all its flaws, which at some point we'll actually go through, is for them to get up like just under $800 million is huge. And there was a significant wait in between the two.
Yeah.
There was like almost 4 years, right? So I think that's one of the reasons why it didn't do as well, because it didn't get to strike while the iron's hot, so to speak. But, I mean, like, it's one of those where I'm like, it's kind of scary that we're looking at a point in time where you won't even think to go to the theater. Like, yeah, in recent years, I've been a little bit more choosy. But, like, James Bond, No Time to Die, I was like, I'm seeing that in the theater. This is before I saw the teaser for the trailer.
Yeah.
And then I saw the trailer.
The likely opening weekend.
I don't see any reason not to.
Yeah.
And so then when I saw the trailer, I was like, 100%, I might even go twice that day. You know, I might just do a double bill because it looks so good. I have to say, though, like, while Spectre did look good in the trailers, this looks really good. This looks like Skyfall good. Like, when I saw the trailers for Skyfall, I was like, whoa!
Skyfall trailers
holy shit!
Did that to me.
And then when I saw No Time to Die, I was like, whoa! Holy shit!
Yeah,
so,
no Time to Die's got that look to it.
Like, Spectre, I was like, alright!
Spectre,
it's gonna be good! Like, I have a feeling it's got Sam Mendes again. Mm-hmm. Like, I have no reason to think this is gonna be as good as Skyfall. It's not gonna be better. It's gonna be as good. But anyway, I hate it. This is where I'm at.
Straight up.
I hate the idea.
I hate the
idea of
a
streaming service owning the rights to a blockbuster like this.
Yeah.
It's like if all of a sudden Disney Plus said the next Avengers movie is strictly going to be through the streaming service, I'd be like, okay.
Well, we're already fucking half there because like half of the new phase is going to Disney Plus.
Okay, but we're talking like TV shows though. We're not talking like actual movies.
But shows that could have been movies easily.
Right, but still, I'm still saying, because at least Disney's still eyeing up the blockbuster aspect.
Yeah.
Now, if this is one of those things where, Netflix, I'm going to say Apple buys the rights and is smart enough to say, we'll still release it in the theater. And then a week later, or like relatively quickly, have it leak on iTunes or Apple TV or whatever the hell. Yeah, Apple TV. That's different.
Netflix is getting a little more into theatrical stuff now, but they're doing like a 1 week only, limited theaters type of thing. Because
but even still, for this, you can't do. Like, James Bond has got to have a run in theaters.
Well, it's the thing, right? Like, it may be in theaters. You'll never see this.
That's the other part, though. That's one of those things where, for me, like, I'm really.
So now you're forced into getting Apple or Netflix if you don't.
I don't like that you can't
Bond.
buy a physical copy, or we're getting to that point where you can't buy a physical copy,
Yeah,
or if you want a physical copy, you got to spend like mucho dinero for it.
Yep.
Which I would do.
You know what? I've said that from the start. I wish Netflix would release their shit on Blu-ray.
Oh yeah, we talked about that a couple Camcasts ago.
Even if they like have a Netflix.com where you go on there and it's like limited to 1,000 copies, $50.
Well, that's what I was saying. Like,
well, I love this movie that much
because you can get season 1 and 2 of Daredevil.
Yeah,
but you can't get season 3, and I'm like,
exactly.
That's the crucial season.
They canceled it.
That's the crucial fucking season.
Didn't release Defenders either. And
I'm okay with that one.
I feel like you kind of need Defenders, though, to get that story in between the two.
You do. You definitely do. Yeah, you definitely
do. I don't think I could watch Daredevil 1 to 3 without Defenders in between 2 and 3. Because it's such
I've recently done it. I've just recently done it, so I've restarted season 3 again.
Okay, so...
Because I know that we're getting to our Daredevil Camcast. I know that's coming up real soon.
Yeah.
So I've recently done it, and... You can only watch if you can actually localize the Daredevil aspects to it. Then but like realistically, it's the last 2 episodes
Defenders.
that you absolutely have to watch.
Yeah,
because even though it's a Netflix show, they still do that episodic thing where somebody recaps something.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
So you'll pick up immediately that Danny Rand is Iron Fist, but he's also the key, right? So he's the key to opening up the doors to Kunlun. And that's one of the reasons why the Hand want him, so that they can do that, and then, of course, they can destroy Kunlun or whatever. I can't remember what the actual point was. Power Everlasting was probably it, or something like that.
Something to do with power, most likely.
And then you realize that they're fighting inside of a, dragon's bones, stuff like that, which is actually really cool.
That's cool. I liked it.
You could see a really cool looking Elektra with her like pretty close to comic book costume, but also mirrors the Daredevil colors of the show. Yeah. And it's the last time you see Daredevil in the actual suit, which is really cool.
Last time you see him in the suit. Last time you see Elektra.
That's right. So
I feel like you would have got to see both if season 4 would have happened.
2 episodes. The last 2 episodes for sure you have to see. I mean, don't get me wrong. Defenders is a good show in general. There's some things that I would change, obviously, but anyway. So James Bond going to Netflix or Apple, I hope it doesn't happen.
I
hope a company like Sony swoops in and finds $10 billion. Because here's the thing. So they'll find $10 billion. They'll own the rights. They'll make their money back.
Oh, yeah.
They'll make $10 billion off of merchandising, off of the actual movies themselves,
video sales, video games,
every single thing, especially because we've got a renaissance for Sony just in general for video games.
Yeah.
They haven't really had a part, like even there's games where I wouldn't normally have looked at, I'm looking at because it's like, these guys are fucking killing it.
Just imagine that, eh? Imagine Naughty Dog doing a James Bond game.
Nope. I wouldn't say Naughty Dog. No. I love Naughty Dog. The controls for Uncharted are just...
Okay, so which one of their studios could do James Bond now?
Well, you know what it is?
Insomniac.
Insomniac, for sure. Insomniac could definitely do it. Part of it with Uncharted, though, if I base it on Uncharted, there's too much platforming for a James Bond game. James Bond has got to have a mix of action, stealth, and some form of like puzzle solving to a degree.
Oh, Guerrilla Games. They did Horizon and all the kill zones.
Horizon. Which one's Horizon? Is that the one with the mech dinos?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah, that's actually on my.
But I'm thinking
playlist.
more of all the kill zones.
Yeah. The kill zones, yes, for sure.
Yeah. So yeah, Sony, buy James Bond.
God, just do
Anyone
it.
buy James
Even
Bond.
just so you could spite Netflix and Apple. You could just say, hey, fuck you guys. We did it.
Someone give us $10 billion. We'll buy James Bond. That would be pretty awesome.
That actually would.
That would be pretty awesome.
Especially because we would just be like, we don't really know what to do.
What do we do with this guy now?
Well, we'll have to recast him.
Yeah.
Henry Cavill.
We're very Canadian, so...
I don't know who I would cast as. Who's in the runnings right now?
Do they really have anyone in the runnings? Because it keeps bouncing all over.
It keeps bouncing all over.
Will it be young? Will it be old? Will it be male? Will it be female? Will it be white? Will it be black? Like,
well, no. You know what? My favorite is Idris Elba. Is just like James Bond is white. Like I don't know why we're having this conversation.
Yeah.
Like I'm paraphrasing.
He's like, I'm just because I'm British.
But I'm paraphrasing. That's essentially what he said. Where he's just like, I'm not even sure why we're having this conversation.
Yeah.
Also, the stuff about James Bond being a woman, I think, is stupid. The 007 being a woman,
I'm cool with that.
is fine.
Makes sense.
In fact, that's part of the plot of No Time to Die, and I'm like, I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
You know, let us know what your thoughts are. Comment down below. Also, a little bit to the left a bit, there is a subscription, or you can like it. No. Ring the bell on the right. That's right. If this was a YouTube video, it's on the right. You hit the bell, you get your notifications. Right beside that, you get your subscription, so you can subscribe. And you can also see us on, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. You can hear us on SoundCloud, Apple TV, and or Apple Podcasts and Google Podcast.
Though it would be sweet if we ever end up on Apple TV.
One day.
One day
we might.
The Geek Pants channel.
When they buy us.
Yes.
For $10
billion.